Welcome back to the channel. I found another doctored up auction car for us to take a look at. Actually, this one's a truck. It's not a real truck, it's just a little truck, but it's a truck nonetheless. So we're going to take a look at that so that hopefully anybody that sees these videos knows what to look for in the auction, and it really puts a dent in the scammers' ability to push these over on unsuspecting buyers. It's really the only way we're ever going to combat these. So let's take a look at it and see what they did to it. Today's featured vehicle is a 21 GMC Canyon four-wheel drive. It's a Denali. It's offered by our favorite sellers down in Miami. It's got an original Pennsylvania salvage title, and this one has a title document note and its vehicle being sold with title pending. What that usually means is they don't actually have the title because they finance the vehicle. They floor plan it, which is what new car dealers do when they buy cars from an auction to resell, and they have 30 days before they have to start paying on it. So the idea is to move this unit within 30 days. So that's what they're doing. They're using other people's money. There's no seller down here, so it is a third-party auction vehicle. And it has 23,275 miles on it. So let's take a close look at it and see if we can figure out what they did to it. So starting off at the front end here, it does have the wrong grille. It should look more like the one that's behind me in the intro, with the little holes in it and be chrome. And we got a little damage on our hood, no damage on our fender, which is kind of suspicious because whatever hit it got all this and missed the fender. Unlikely. So it looks like all of our inner structure here is damaged. Definitely have our wheel pushed back, and it's not sitting right. It's shoved up there. Need a front bumper, so we need pretty much a 3/4 front end, and this is after they've doctored it up. We need a door back here and a cab corner and a bedside and a running board and a tailgate and a rear bumper. It looks like we have a little roof damage up here. This looks like it might be the hanger for the spare tire. So on this side of the truck, we have a good door and a good fender and a good taillight and maybe a couple wheels. Our bumper is destroyed. Our tailgate's destroyed. This bedside isn't doing any better than the other one, so it's going to need an entire box. By the time you put two bedsides and a tailgate on it, you have a whole box there. We do have some damage on the roof here, a little bit more up here. This wheel looks good. Maybe got a rear axle. That's something. We have a deployed airbag here that they cut out and stuffed back together. We definitely had this seatbelt deploy. It's pulled nice and tight. Nobody was wearing it at the time, so we're going to need some pretensioners there. So I'd imagine the other one deployed. Not sure about the curtains. They tucked the headliner up there if it did deploy. Did a pretty good job putting that back together. It looks like it didn't tear the headliner. So they lucked out there. And we can see that everything is definitely shoved back over here. We have our inspection stickers on the windshield, so that looks like it's probably the original windshield. Didn't go back that far. Definitely quite a bit of damage. We know they put a grill in it because that doesn't belong in there. 23,275. It's not running. We have a few dash emojis. Brake fluid low. I would imagine there's some suspension damage there, and they couldn't even be bothered with topping off the brake fluid to at least get rid of one light. At least they left us with half a tank of fuel. That was nice of them. Adds to the value of the vehicle. Back seat looks pretty good. Looks like our headliner is kind of pulled down a little bit at the top of the window here, so maybe those curtain airbags did go off. I'm not sure about the seats. This one looks okay. Can't really see that one. There's our VIN. Oh, it's got a custom prop rod here. That's probably because the original one is hydraulic, and since there's no latch, if they connect it, it's going to pop the hood up.
So to keep the hood down and make it look good in the pictures, they just left the prop rod out of there. And this side, they probably, I don't know where it went because our fender is not even held on, and maybe a couple wood screws over here, but there's no bolts in there, no bolts in there, and definitely no bolts where they belong over here. Our grill has two bolts over here, so it's just setting up there to make it look pretty. Looks like they pulled this out a little bit because all this was probably shoved back here to break this engine cover. All this stuff had to go back here. Not sure how far back it went. Definitely gonna need an apron, radiator support, 3/4 of a front end on this thing, forward of the firewall. And it looks like, given the little snorkel here is buckled like that, and this side didn't move. I'm saying this engine is back in order to do that. So that means our frame is definitely bent. We got a key and a fob. Bonus. Yeah, that that wheel is back at least 8 inches. And in order for it to get that far back, it's got to have some frame damage under there. This is a parts vehicle and not even a good one at that. A little damage on our door up here. So we have a slightly damaged door, a good door over here, and a good door over there. Maybe 4 wheels and a rear end, a couple taillights, and a running board and some interior pieces. Since it doesn't run, I don't know if the engine's any good. Could have a cracked trans as far back as that frame is shoved. You can see how far back it went. So I wouldn't even count on the drivetrain in this. So this thing is worthless. And this is after they've gotten their hands on it. Nice shot of our damage back here. Definitely a bumper and a tailgate. Our back window survived, or unless they changed it. Little damage on that fender. That looks like a strap. Well, if we're missing anything, let's go see what our 360 looks like. It took a pretty good pictures for us, so we've seen that there's pretty much nothing left on the outside. Let's see if the inside tells us any more. A nice close-up view of the headliner. Could have put that a little bit lower in there. The camera. We have our deployed airbag. And the seatbelt was definitely deployed. Somebody was wearing it. That's why it's draped here. It won't retract. So we need a couple seatbelts. Did a good job tucking that headliner up there. If those curtain airbags did go off. You can see a little bit here. I think that's a shadow. I'm not sure. Okay, so how bad do you think it was before they got to it? Here it is. This is the auction that's currently in. We show 2 sale histories. It ran last week and they got 10,825, but they didn't sell it. They wanted that extra $75 because now it has an I buy fast of 10,9. So I think they should have taken that money. They're hopefully going to lose a lot more than that $75. They originally paid 6,000, which, given what I've seen, isn't worth it. But let's see what it looked like before they worked on it. Okay, well, we don't have any damage on our fender here, like we did in the other picture. So I'm thinking that that came from the transport company that transported this down to them in Miami. If you have a transport company that doesn't transport vehicles, they like to use straps to hold the vehicle down, which is completely the wrong way. And when they tighten them down to hold that hood down, it buckles the fenders. How do I know this? I've gotten a few cars transported with those exact damages, and I saw when they took it off the trailer how they held the hood down. So we got our damage back here, up here. Yeah, that's shoved in there pretty good. It hit another car, and then the other car spun around and hit the side of it. I'm sure all the experts are going to tell me this is part of a police chase or something, but my life is pretty much boring, so I just take, the usual car accident, not the police chase car accidents that they all come up with. I think those people live in movies. Anyway, our front end completely destroyed. That it definitely is going to need a frame. And our suspension, our curtain airbags did deploy. You can see our pillar trim is off here. We can see our seat is deployed. Same damage here. Our back window did survive. Same damage back here. Nothing changed here. And we can see all of our airbags. So yeah, both curtains went off, this seat and the steering wheel. So they cut these out, tucked everything up nice and neat so you don't know the curtain's deployed. Cut that out of there. Did a pretty good job because you couldn't see any of it. And then cut the driver's airbag out. Same mileage, so we know it doesn't go anywhere. Few dash emojis on this one. Looks like they did use a little fuel. Maybe they did get it running at one point, unless they siphoned some out. There's our back seat. Looks like they got a couple of free maps when they bought their vehicle and some straps. There's our VIN. It is the same one. And this is where their doctoring time went. They pulled this front end out quite a bit. And given the angle of that master cylinder, I'm going to say that this firewall is collapsed in here. Now we know how our engine cover got broken. Everything here is shoved way back. So this thing needs a frame. This is not a rebuildable car. This is a parts car, and not even a good parts car. So yeah, they just pulled this out. The hood latch was in there. They unbolted it just so that the hood would sit a little better. Hammered the hood a little straighter so that it didn't look quite like that. Threw a fender on it, probably a cheap aftermarket one. Got the suspension to sit a little bit higher so that it kind of sat level. Tucked their curtain airbags back up there and put the pillar trim back on. Called it and then can't forget that they got the wrong grill to stick on here and hide all this. So 3/4 of a front end, a door, a bed, a roof, probably an engine trans frame. You could rebuild it. You could buy 4 of them for the price it's going to cost you, but you could rebuild it. The fender was good when they bought it, but didn't make it down to them. So yeah, that's a parts car. So we'll see what happens to that one. Our favorite sellers up in DC are back again with the RDX A-Spec that they sold a couple weeks ago.
Sale pending.
That they got a ridiculous amount of money for. I guess they're hoping for even more than that. They haven't put any new vehicles in there, so maybe our videos are working and discouraging them from doing this, or maybe they just made enough money off that Lexus and they went on vacation. I don't know. I'd like to think that maybe people are getting wise and not buying these things. So maybe they'll stop this, but that might be wishful thinking.
So that's our doctored up auction vehicle for today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe because I will be doing hopefully at least one of these a week to educate buyers so that they don't become victim to these kind of sellers. And if you're waiting for the government to help you, because a lot of people have said, why doesn't the government step in? I'm here to tell you the scariest words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help. So let's just keep the government out of it because all they're really going to do is probably charge us a tax, let's be realistic, and not actually fix anything and just make things worse because that's what governments do. And if you think the government is your friend, then that stripper probably loves you and there is a Nigerian prince sending you millions of dollars, or at least it wants to. So if you live in that reality, maybe the government's going to help you. But for the rest of us, they're not. So let's just keep them out of it. The best thing we can do to stop these sellers from doing what they're doing is to educate ourselves. So I'll keep making these videos. You guys keep sharing it. Hopefully other channels pick this up, start doing similar things, and we get this word out and stop these guys. That's the best way to do it. Do it ourselves. Don't wait for the government. So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. So while I was making the end screen for this video, I used the auction pictures, and I did notice there's a little tag on the left front tire, and that tag is because that tire used to be the spare tire. That's why our spare tire hanger was hanging down, because they used it to replace the tire that was blown out in the front. So when you buy this thing, you don't even get a spare tire. And that left rear door handle, somewhere along the line, didn't make it all the way to Miami, or didn't make it from Miami to the auction, so we got to buy that. It probably fell out in transport somewhere along the line, and it was probably broken anyway. Not a huge deal, least of our worries on this thing. A lot of people want me to get back to the rebuild videos, and there's been a little complication, and I can't quite get back to them right now. Now, I will give you some details on what's transpired in the last couple weeks as I can, but I can assure you that that story is nothing compared to what's transpired in the last couple of years with my rebuilds. I will share all of that in due time, but there are reasons that I can't. So, a lot of you have asked for the outro music, so here it is.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take sh**. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.